I just picked this cup because I saw that Dani also had a Starbucks cup. Yeah, did. And I was like, gonna change it out at the last minute. I was like, never mind. Because in the pre-show, I was like, nope, that's it. Me and Dani, we're gonna be matchies. Matchies. Hey everybody, welcome to the Coffee Table Talks. Today we have Dani Woolf to discuss cybersecurity and marketing. Set the sparkles. Hello everybody out there. If you guys comment on the YouTube, Twitch, or LinkedIn, we should see it scrolling in the side. So don't embarrass yourselves or your families.
Except for my comments, for some reason they never show up. I think I'm blacklisted. It's okay.
I think it's a privacy setting for Restream to pick up the comments. I don't know.
Yeah, everything on my stuff is locked. That's fair.
Yeah, that's a thing right there. So if this is your first time joining, hi, my name is Rachel Arnold. I'm the Human API with Secure Nation. You can go check out more stuff about Secure Nation and follow the LinkedIn page for new shows, which we have almost every Friday, depending. This is a non-sponsored live stream. It's part of my passion in life, which is just community outreach and industry knowledge and sharing, because sharing is caring. Honestly, I know we try to lock everything down, but you guys, the bad guys, share all their stuff with each other, and they don't have to be just guys. Sorry, that was so sexist of me.
How dare you? Honestly,
I know, it's terrible. The bad humans out there doing all the bad things that keep us up all night. They have so much fun working together and sharing things all the time that they manage to stay one step ahead of us. So let's be smart and communicate and be friends on the good human side of the fence and do that too. So that's what we're here to do. With me as always is Will McCullen. Will, wave. There you go. Rob says he's not going to embarrass himself. I'm really, really excited for you, Rob.
Press F to doubt.
I'm glad. Will McCullen is the program manager at the IT Center for Excellence at Pima Community College in Tucson, Arizona, and a really cool human being. Hang out with Will. You can check out all the stuff that they are doing at Pima using that QR code for their cybersecurity program. And with us infrequently, but when time allows, and today time favored us, is Levy. Levy.
Hi.
From the dark web. That's what we're going to stick with.
When people ask who I am, I just say I'm a bunch of spiders in a trench coat. So honestly, one day I'm going to wear the trench coat on the stream. I have it. I have the Matrix trench coat. I have the trench coat before I ever watched the movie Matrix. I got bullied into watching those movies.
Bullied?
Literally bullied. I'm notorious for not watching TV or movies. Unless they're like black and white horror films from like Vincent Price.
I watch my friends and colleagues' Twitch streams because they also covertly are gamers that have their own Twitch streams. Levy, you have a TikTok too that showcases your artistic ability, and I love going through TikTok and finding your stuff come up on my feed.
Here, I'll show you guys something real quick.
It's awesome. It's always awesome.
But I do have a TikTok. We can put that on if you don't want to put my Rickroll on the QR code. I've been trying for weeks to get Rachel to Rickroll all of you guys.
It's so bad. I can't do that. They're not going to trust any of the rest of my QR codes. I can't do that. But look how cool that is. Right?
So I post all that stuff up on TikTok, or I sell them on different stores.
Yep. And just an insider secret, if you ever are a guest of the Coffee Table Talks, you get a specially designed super sneaky squirrel art item that says the Coffee Table Talk that Levy has designed and allows me to put on stuff and send to your mailbox.
Yeah, it's the only way to get it.
Thank you for hanging out for an hour. Today's guest, Dani Woolf. Dani, can you please introduce yourself to everybody?
Sure. My name's Dani. Yeah, my name's Dani. Thanks for having me, by the way. I'm the CEO and founder of Audience First, currently also writing content for Nucleus Security. And I'm here to talk about all the good things, cybersecurity marketing, and the fun failures, challenges, experiences, wins, all the good stuff that we've been going through.
And you've seen a lot. So you've been specific to cybersecurity for how long? 6 years?
6 years. Yep. Traditionally in my career as a marketer in tech, the whole time. Security is much different than other verticals that I've worked in, but I'm here now. I'm not going anywhere else. I love this space. I it's scratching the past 6 years. It's just been scratching the surface. There's so much to learn, and so many rabbit holes to go down. I feel like I'm only now just getting started in my knowledge of the space, of the human beings in the space, of the technology and the things that we can do. So it's pretty exciting.
Oh, yeah.
I
You
feel like
said-
I don't know anything either. So
All the
yeah,
stuff
it's
is
just
changing.
confident.
One of the reasons
Yeah,
I
so-
like this space is because there is something you're never okay. One, if you think you're the smartest person in the room, shut up. You're not. Two, or go to a different room.
Yeah.
Two,
Please go to a different room. Take that
there's
one
always
literally.
something new to learn every day, minute to minute almost, it feels like, in the cybersecurity space. Maybe that's because the bad humans move really fast, but maybe it's also because the good humans are developing solutions to those problems super fast too. And I think it's really cool that, Dani, you help those people get their voices heard in a way that is ingestible to the people that need to hear it. I think
Yes.
that's awesome.
Thank you.
Sorry, Will. Go ahead. I totally cut you off like a jerk.
Same. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I mean this come on folks, as long as we have folks producing software to get all the latest features out the door, this industry is going to thrive like crazy. And it's always going to be changing.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Cybersecurity is such a wide and large umbrella. There's so much going on underneath it that if you think you know everything in one little bracket, you just need to go to another bracket and you're going to be a noob all over again. And also, you're wrong. You don't know everything in your bracket, but whatever.
Either that or go on vacation.
Go on vacation. Literally everything changes when you get back. It could be a 1-day vacation. Everything has changed.
Yeah. We're getting
Really
ready to
so
go.
right.
We're getting ready to go to the beach this evening after the man thing clocks out, and I already am dreading what my inbox is going to look like when I get back.
Oh, absolutely. At the end of a weekend, I'm like, how many hundreds of emails do I have on this Monday morning?
By the way, Rachel, how is the Dungeon Master?
The Dungeon Master. Oh yeah. Okay. So one of the ways that I met Dani, because I think there's a couple different, right? We got first introduced through our friend Chris Roberts, which Rob Fox mentions to the side that is one of the only people who know it all are guys like Evan and Chris Roberts. Absolutely not. You will talk to Evan Franson or Chris Roberts and they will go, absolutely not.
Yeah.
100%.
Ryan.
Yeah. And then, hey Ryan, what's up? 100 Slacker. Very cool. So I got an opportunity. Chris called me one day out of the blue. I don't even remember. I was traveling somewhere. I think I was driving to Tennessee to go visit the family for Christmas, Josh's side of the family. So he calls me and I'm like at this gas station in the middle of nowhere land. And he's like, hey, do you have time right now? And I'm like, well, I got like 7 more hours to drive. What do you want to talk about? And he's like, I want to do a D&D show and I want you to do it with me, and I want Josh to be the dungeon master. And I was like, oh no. Okay. And he was like, so you're gonna get in touch with my friend Dani. And I was like, cool. And that's how I met Dani. And then I started following all of Dani's content and enjoyed it and loved it and thought it was really insightful and empathetic. And it's not in this traditional like just bashing vendors all the time for being bad. It's more of a here's some ways that you can do this better. Like it's more of an optimistic approach. So that's what I really like about it. So you guys go follow Dani.
Yeah, I'd love
Especially if
that.
you're in marketing or sales, like especially.
Yeah, well, it's very ironic in looking at some of this, the analytics and the engagement. A third of my following are practitioners, security practitioners. Like they love it. They love listening to this stuff and learning. And frankly, a lot of the stuff that we talk about with regards to collaboration, communication, kind of the soft skills, and I say big quotes, soft skills, which would be basically foundational skills.
Yeah,
like how to talk to people.
You mean the thing that everyone I've ever worked with has some ability of lacking in? Yeah.
Yes. I mean, they love it and they think it's valuable to them. But
It is so important.
Going back to the D&D story, is well, why did we start that? And I think this is an interesting story to tell. Is I was running demand generation at a threat intel company, and I didn't know too much about our audience. I was learning, I was listening, I was looking at our Salesforce notes from sales, or lack thereof. And
I was gonna say that's a hit or miss.
yeah. And well, no, they were pretty good. They were pretty good about it.
Okay.
I got to give them the credit. And I was like, well, how am I gonna persuade people to come just listen to us, let alone buy from us or turn into some kind of opportunity?
Right.
So it's like, okay, let's do a podcast, because people like podcasts. It's an easy way to see people. It's an easy way to digest information, but we got to make it compelling, pragmatic, practical, and also just fun and entertaining. And Chris came up with the idea of doing Dungeons and Dragons for business in regards to security. And so let's go through all these scenarios of what the real life would be like, more or less, right? But in Dungeons and Dragons format. Where am I? I gotta find my dice. I love those dice. Those were awesome. We got branded dice and everything, and we went through different scenarios with regards to how you would handle particular situations. If you're meeting an adversary, what would you do in this scenario, right? And I just thought it was so much fun. Our audience loved it. Unfortunately, we had to cut it short, and then I left that job to start up Audience First and essentially help other security vendors, better understand practitioners and better connect with them and bridge that gap that there is between the vendor and practitioner space. So it's been a ride. It's been fun. Wow, here we are almost 2 years later. I feel like we launched that 2 years ago, I think, or more, 3 years ago. Wow.
Yeah.
I think we gotta do it.
A lot. I blinked my eyeballs and stuff happened. So that's another thing why I continue enjoying my relationship so much with you, Dani, is that I feel like you are the other side of my coin. Like you and I are the same coin, different sides. So you work on the vendor side, you're like, do it like this, right? And I'm more on the client or the customer end user side going, do it like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we get them to meet in the middle, and then everybody's happy, right? And that's one of my favorite things about watching and following your content is being able to see what the other side of the fence is being preached at. And man, if they all listened to you, it would be a lot better on this side of the fence. A lot better.
Well, I love that you're doing that for the clients, because it's not a one-way street, right? The customer needs to be enabled and engaged also within the process, the buying process, the onboarding process, and the retention process. So lots of clients don't know also how to do that. So I love that you're doing that. And yes, if more people listened on the vendor side, we would be in a much better spot. But I have to say, since Chris and I started the WTF show, and since I've been doing Audience First and podcasting and connecting with security practitioners, I'm seeing a lot more people trying to do things better. Yep. There's more curiosity. And even if it's by a fraction of a %, I think that's progress, right? That's strides from where we were, 3 to 6 years ago from when I, came in this industry. So,
yeah, it's very cool. And just like there's bad vendors, there's bad customers. Let's not. I've sat next to them before and made my eye would twitch because I'm like, don't. What do you mean you just strong-armed them and were really rude?
That goes over well. That establishes friendships.
You pay for a product, not the right to abuse them. That's not okay. Don't do that. Because there's been so many that are like, oh, vendors. And I'm like, these can be your best friends in your whole life. If you just open up a little bit and not be so, I don't know, closed off all the time.
Well, that's just kind of an indicator, right, of how bad the industry has been.
There's some PTSD on both sides.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so I guess I represent the client side of things out there from the educational industry. And I've been in it 1 or 2 years. And I've seen a whole lot of folks just absolutely taken advantage of in one way or another, largely because of either client misunderstanding, not knowing the technology, or even the sales folks not knowing the technology. I mean, how many of us who have been out there on the customer side is like, oh, God, no, please not the salesperson. Bring in the engineer.
But why
Right?
is that?
And,
Why is that? Why do
and
we shy away from the sale? Because I do it, and I know why I do it. But I'm curious, why do you do it? I want to know if we match, if we're matchy.
well, in the elements in the past, when I was in that area, because now I'm on the teaching side of the house, right?
Yeah.
But it would be folks that would come in and promise you the world and be completely inaccurate about their product.
Yeah.
Or not know basic principles about
Talk
the
it up
product.
so much. Yeah.
Right. And
I
I
kinda
can
share
see
this with you.
Danny hopping up and down on this
Danny's
because,
ready.
you've spoken so many times on this, but let me just bring in a firewall example, right? So if you know anything about firewalls with stateful connections, it's all about when you start the connection, that's when the rule goes into play. But you get salespeople that come by and say, oh, no, you've got to open everything in all ports in both directions. And it's like,
Yeah.
you've just
And
missed the basic concepts, and that's what's hard.
I'm sorry. Go, Levy. Yeah, sorry.
Just really quick, I was going to say to Rob's point, that comment we just had up on the screen. I've also seen that go terribly. Like where you try to keep hold of the salesperson, especially sales engineers who also try to make you happy above all else and promise once you purchase the product that this is how it's going to be, and then it's not.
Yeah.
That can start such bad blood between not only internal teams in that vendor side, but also of you with your new vendor, where you're like, well, the sales engineer told me that they can do it. Can we get the sales engineer back? Why do we have to talk to you? Bring back the sales engineer. And it just gets nasty.
Yeah.
So be careful with that too.
Oh,
I literally.
Not to mention salesperson roulette, right? They tend to all swap companies every once in a while in the same area.
And some people cry. Go on, Dan. Go quick. Go.
I was gonna say. I just literally presented about why IT buyers are skeptical to 100 B2B marketers yesterday, and can I share my screen?
Yeah. No, all you gotta do is say, "I want to share my screen." Then
I want to share my screen. Here we go.
Magically.
This is why what I told them why IT buyers are skeptical. One, not only that.
Yeah.
And then.
Yep.
That's it. But then you also got those implications, right? Like why we get that it's a tough spot to be in as a security practitioner, right? Like you could get fired if you do something wrong or go to jail. Like B2B marketers and salespeople don't know that, right? So that was a good 15-minute negative session, and they loved it. They ate it up, but it was super B2B marketers. They want to persuade, but you gotta understand why it is they're pushing back, and it's not just because they're busy, or it's not just because of complex buying cycles. No, it's very much emotional.
And if you don't ask them, by the way, if you just assume that you're making a sale because they have to have this or they need to have it, right? There's some nuance there that I think a lot of the sales folks miss out on, which is what a struggle bus it was for them to get approved just for the budget to look at something. And if it doesn't come in exactly meeting all of the technical and functional requirements, you don't just fail as a vendor trying to partner with this group or this team or this company. They fail because to get that money, they had to promise that things were going to happen.
Yeah.
And usually they're doing that off of research they've worked with you ahead. So also like the pressury side of sales where they're like, well, when? How soon? Is it now? Did you get budget yet? Like those questions, like they're already stressed out about it and have run out of all the energy to respond to you and need you just to sit and hang out and wait and be available when they're ready, kind of thing, and hand them resources when they ask for them and quickly.
And also know that you're not the only one they're talking to. So them needing you is not necessarily the case when the industry is oversaturated with options.
Yeah. 9 times out of 10, whenever a client is looking at a project and it involves acquiring a platform or a product or a professional service, the vendor that wins is the vendor that is responsive, polite, and patient.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I have a question to throw back at the three of you.
Okay.
And I ask this on a regular basis to, with Chris and even Maria, who's been a successful sales professional for many, many years. The expectation from sales and marketing, right, or just in general in the vendors who are, largely VC backed, is you want that hockey stick growth. Like we're going to exponentially grow within 2 to 3 years, right? Given that pressure and given the aggressive growth goals, you're saying be patient, but how does one be patient when they're faced with such aggressive growth goal? Like I need to hit quota and every month I need like per rep, like 30 plus meetings, and I need to convert 40% of those to closed won bit. Like that's crazy. Like the market isn't even ready to buy, right? Like,
right.
How does a sales and marketing professional who's revenue, like a marketing professional who's revenue driven, how do they navigate that stress, and how do they like make sure that they are successful with those growth goals, but also in being patient with the buying process and when there's actually intent to buy? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I have been a sales professional for a very long time, not in this industry specifically, but you guys, I started off as a waitress in a Waffle House. If you think that's not sales, you are so wrong, because they judge you based on each one of those little yellow tickets you have to hand total in your head, because there's 4 other waitresses fighting over the one calculator that was sitting down the end of the bar. But anyway, sorry, we can do that later.
Flashbacks.
But I've been in sales in the restaurant industry as different levels within that space. I've been in sales in chemicals. I worked for Ecolab for a very long time, and there was something from Ecolab that I really, really loved. And shout out to go Ecolab. But they had a training program for their sales folks that they pounded in it was gain, retain, and grow. So I think what I'm trying to get at is the answer to your question about how do they deal with the pressure of having to meet quotas, and how do they not pressure their customers at the same time, is if you have your sales segmented off that you are only driving new business, right? You can't do the retain or the grow part. So you're just focused on the growing part. Community outreach. These are things that are going to greatly impact your funnel, right? So the list of people that you're watching that could be possible buyers. All right. And you'll sometimes get a greenfield, what they call a greenfield list of companies that are in your sales designated area, right? It could be based on company size, revenue, employee count, actual geographical area, right? Like, okay, you're now over the state of California. Congratulations. You have to keep your pipeline filled to the max all the time. And at the top of your pipeline is we just kind of are friends a little bit. They call it different stuff in every place, but that's kind of what it is. And then you got the next part of it that's like, now we kind of like besties. They ask me for resources. I give them to them, da, 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 da. And then you've got they're thinking about buying this, but it'll be next year. They're waiting on budget approval. And then you've got the part that's like, They are working on buying this now. We're being compared to others, right? Like this is the pipeline. For those of you who don't understand what a sales pipeline is, because I know we've got a lot of folks on today that are not in sales or marketing or anything like that. So I just wanted to take time to explain that real quick. Dani, do you have anything to fill in on what I just said? Because I am no way the expert.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Rick also said, yeah, like top of funnel is key.
Yeah.
Huge pipeline's important. But being able also, I think, just to add to that, being able to segment that pipeline as to who's actually qualified, who's not, but could refer, who you could partner with. Like, think about it from that way is super critical, because then that's going to make it easier for you to be more efficient into who's going to contribute to the business metrics, who's going to contribute to the referrals, who's going to contribute just to advocacy. So segmentation is huge.
Right. If you have an advocate, right, and then even like in instances like having an advocate, somebody that really loves your product, they've tried it out, perhaps you've given them a trial piece of something and they're really excited. They're working on, trying to convince their leadership that they should spend a new segment of budget for next year for this kind of thing. So they can be two pieces of an advocate. You can have somebody that is an internal advocate, right? That only to the internal teams, they're like, this is so great. This is so great. Which, by the way, your internal teams might think that you're going to get some kind of kickback from that. So I don't recommend doing that real hard, just saying. Or you can have an external advocate, which is somebody that's going to come to all of your webinars, to all of your slide presentations, all your public events, right? They're going to hang out with you at the local conference, that kind of stuff, and be this advocate for your product or your right. And they're going to tell their friends about it. Hey, I took a look at this and just by chance, I think it's great. And I think you should look at it too, kind of thing. I know you had a problem similar to what we're trying to address with our team and our network and our security and hardening. And this could really help you too. Like that's the external advocate. Anyway, sorry. I wanted to break that down too. There's two ways to do that. I've noticed
it's really interesting hearing a lot of this right from the customer side, because I know nothing about sales. And as a customer, I don't want to know anything about sales, right? Because from a customer end of it, I have a problem I need to fix. I have something I need to set up. And I have had in the past some sales folks that, or vendors or whatever you want to call folks like Rachel that are incredible, that become your ally, right? That you rely on them to sort through all the other stuff. And the biggest part there is having somebody that you can trust.
Yep.
Right. And so I think what kind of gets lost in this, and where maybe, I know there's a lot of money involved. I know there's a lot of things going on that creates all of this cluster. But in the end, you have somebody who is selling a solution and somebody who needs to have that functionality.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is this weird, wild world that you folks live in to try and make all this work. And so whenever you get an advocate on your side as a customer, that is, I'm going to help sort through all this so that you don't have to, those people are gold. And you cannot find that in the latest emoji in the subject line slamming through your email, right? Yeah. It doesn't.
Can we talk about that? Can we just stop with the cold emails? Can we just stop?
Well, please, and messages, please.
We should, but they're not, because wow, that market to sell, tools to do that is on fire. Like,
absolutely not. Let's not do that anymore.
Yes, I know. Well, I look, I think that cold outreach is okay if it's done correctly.
Okay.
How it, because
I'm going to argue.
No,
what is done correctly?
Well, where's my popcorn? Hang on.
I first get to know hey, like a lot of the people that I reach out to, I don't know them before. How do I get in touch with them? I reach out to them through LinkedIn. That's cold outreach, essentially.
That's not cold, though.
Yes,
Dan.
it is. It's
cold.
Cold.
Because
then what's cold?
No, cold is your sales manager sits you down with a list of names and email addresses. That's cold. Go into LinkedIn. At least you can discern some information through the open source intelligence gathering that you already know how to do
Okay,
intrinsically.
all right.
You don't even
I'll
realize
give
you're
you that.
doing it,
Yeah.
Dani, but it's
I'll
not
get-
cool.
I'll give you that. Okay,
It's
I'll give
not
you that.
cool.
I retract.
I want to cut in. I'm cutting you
Fine.
off. Cutting in.
It's not cool. I had an
Hey.
email the other day, Dani, where they keep asking me if I want to be awarded as the top 10 companies in open source, like not open source, but it was something else. It was not. So Secure Nation is a white glove reseller of cybersecurity product and professional services. That's what we do. We are 2 inches deep and 5,000 miles wide, and we know all the people that can help you do all the things. And if we don't know them, we're going to very quickly make best friends with them so that they will be so excited to come help you fix whatever it is. Okay. We're like, yes, we know. We got it. It's okay. Right? These people were like, we want to list you as the top one MSP or MSSP or EDR solutions provider or something else. And I'm like, okay, that is a cold outreach email where they didn't even take the time to do a little bit of research about what it is that I do. You can go to the Secure Nation LinkedIn thing. That's where hey, good timing. That's where that QR code leads. And it says technology ally. It does not say MSP, MSSP. I'm not going to manage your service for you. That is not the right fit. Can I introduce you to people that will do that? Yes. And I don't want to be awarded for this because I know how your whole jam works. You want me to pay you money so that I can be on some award list and talk about my award that I paid for. That's so shady on so many levels.
Yeah, that's happened to us a few times on WTF.
Like
Next time, come on.
I will. So number one, they didn't do any actual research on whatever. It ended up in a slog of names with an email address, right? 2, they didn't, if they had looked for just 10 seconds, they would have realized that their whole business concept is it's not compatible with the mission
Right.
at all. Like,
Right.
this is shady. I don't want to be awarded falsely for stuff and then talk about how good job I am for paying for some ramped up stupid award. I'm not doing that. That's terrible.
As a customer, I need a person, not a automation. Thank you very much.
No, I'm cutting in though. I'm cutting y'all off, even though I'm not the host. I'm doing it.
You do it.
2 things. Number 1, that shady cold calling stuff is the same thing threat actors use to get people to sign up for fake LinkedIn or any other job models, which is another huge reason not to like push for that not to be the standard. Because
you look like,
I'll be honest,
bad people.
You do. You look like adversaries. And so if that is what someone's doing, immediately I'm like, I'm not listening to you anymore. I'm not interacting with you. I get them all the time. And even if it sounds like 100% something I'd be interested in, I'm like, I can't trust that you are who or what you say you are. It's so easy to fabricate now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
My second thing is that all you guys have been describing for the past like 10 to 15 minutes is that everyone in sales needs to learn social engineering.
Yes.
I didn't want to say it.
I'm always going to say it. It's like, that's always my thing. Like, just learn how to do social engineering, because that, like, your toddler knows how to socially engineer you. Like, everyone it's a good skill to have. It's complicated when you want to use it pointedly, but it is, in my opinion, a soft skill that most people just don't hone because innately we do it to each other.
I love the fact that you just definitely revealed that social engineering is a human skill.
It is.
Because it is.
It's innate to your brain. Your parent, like when the toddler is screaming in the candy aisle because they want a treat, they are socially engineering and peer pressuring their parent or guardian or whomever into getting them that candy. Because
and social engineering isn't always bad. By the way, you can social engineer for the good of humanity.
Yes. Yeah. Social engineering is so weird, and it's so off topic. So I'll shut up after this.
Well, it's not off topic, by the way. It isn't.
Yeah. So in cybersecurity industry, I've met a lot of people in the IR world where I used to spend my time professionally. And people love to be like, I don't have to worry about social engineering. We have all the tools and the technology. That's all that matters. And I'm like, that's not true. That's not true. I'm like, social engineering works on everybody. That's the most common way of getting in and infecting people at any point. Humans are always your weakest link. Unless you're taking them all offline, you're not getting anything.
Lovey, I'm very
So-
concerned that your cat is going to attack your hat.
It's always possible. Goodbye. But social engineering is also innate to people. So like the social engineering is the hello, say hi. Say
Yeah.
hi. Social engineering is the like industry term now that we've all agreed on, but it's just human psychology. It's just knowing how to talk to people. Like I saw the comment tactical empathy. I don't even think it's that. It's just know a little tiny bit about human psychology and how to talk to people.
Yep.
That's all you need to do. Learn about those people. Use your OSINT skills. Learn a little bit. Start and just talk to people. Talk to people like they're people and not like they're robots who have a wallet.
What?
Rachel, we got to do a course. Codifying empathy.
Let's do it.
Codifying empathy.
Yeah.
How about if you start also with care?
What? What are we starting with?
How about if you care about your customer?
Oh,
How about
care.
Human psychology.
I heard
Did
hair.
everybody else hear?
I heard
that
care, but I was like, what are we talking about? What do you mean?
Care.
I was
Care
like,
about the folks that are involved. Make the human connection, right?
Yeah.
Human psychology.
And that's
Listen,
what
I don't
gets
care
lost
about a
in-
lot of things. I can still talk to people.
that it's the caring that gets lost in the speed of things. It's the care that gets lost in the volume of things. It's the care that gets lost in the busyness of everything. And that, Dani, how can we fix the industry to slow it down enough to actually have human interaction?
You're asking way too hard questions on Friday morning.
Honestly. And like Dani's question earlier is really good, and I don't think any of this has answered that question. I think the answer to that is there was a ramp up at some point that was like, this is our standard now, this is our expectation. And that has to be broken down into something realistic. Yeah. And I don't think any of us is solving that problem. I think that is an industry-wide model problem. And until everybody's like, maybe this doesn't work like we think it does, I think it's just going to keep going.
I feel like they set the bar too high a lot when it comes to stuff. Either that, or maybe the salespeople aren't notating all of their possible opportunity interactions as much as they could be, so that their sales managers retrieve those metrics out of whatever customer management platform they're using.
I don't think they know how to, Rachel.
Oh, so yeah. So
that's the thing. That's a problem.
Okay. So if you are told that you have to do, let's do round numbers, right? You have to do 100 cold outreaches a day, right? And it should deliver X, whatever. It's a numbers game for them on their side.
10%, let's just say.
How much percent?
10% meeting 10%. Set. Let's just say.
So out of 100 people, you need 10 people to respond. Okay. So let's sit down and think about this.
Those are better odds than we give to phishing. Those are worse odds than we give to phishing campaigns. I'm sorry.
So what you have is, let's say that your sales manager gives you a company list. Here's the company list of people to reach out to. How are they researching who they're going to reach out to from that company, Dani? What do you see?
They're not. They're just dumping it and probably using some tool to scrape everybody within security and then blasting one broad message versus understanding who's part of the buying committee and then researching each person, what their business objectives are, and then catering that message for those particular people and not pitching them, but coming in with curiosity and saying, well, what are you working on right now? Or who are you? Hi. right? Like,
So the adversary model, because that's exactly what adversaries do. Again.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now that a lot of security people are not gonna share what they're working on right now because that is not okay.
Also NDAs. Like that's one of those questions. I'm always like, do you guys have this tool? I'm not, and I shouldn't, and I can't tell you the answer to that question.
No, ever. No, I'm not.
But also that mass click rate, that like if I spread the net as wide as possible to get that 10%, that is literally an adversary model. That is how phishing calls work, phishing models work. And it's another reason in this industry, especially, that it's just gonna keep looking more and more suspicious.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Well, also, if you get 10%, doesn't that mean that you've pissed off 90?
Yes.
Yeah. Which doesn't help you next time you spread the net.
No, it does not. Absolutely not. Nope. Yeah, and then you burn them. And then not only do you burn them from your human outreach, your one-on-one human outreach, but you also burn the name of the bridge to your company logo. Because I've known people that have blocked the whole domain, not just that one sender. It'll be the whole. You will never get in contact with them unless you physically walk up to their door and knock on it, which is going to be creepy, and they're going to tell you to go away anyway.
There was an incident that occurred at a company I worked for. We had our target list of accounts that the sales teams, per region had to attack. And again, I hate using the aggressive terms. Like, we're not trying to attack them. We're trying to connect and understand them. Right.
Yeah.
And this person, this account executive had found somehow the personal cell phone of the chief information security officer of a huge organization.
Don't do that.
Called him on his personal cell phone.
Don't do that.
Then we got an email back.
What are you talking about?
We got an email back from this CISO to the whole company, the CEO, CMO, and it trickled down to me and to others, who said basically, I will never do business with this company. You are X'd, and my friends will know about this. Just for calling my personal phone number.
Oh man, you want to talk about a numbers game? You make one mad. That one person that you made mad is going to tell 10 other people.
Yeah.
Right? There's a numbers game. The one person you make happy might tell one person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, you got to
negative always spreads faster. It's what you remember. It always works.
Let me just clue in. So Dani, please feel free to use this anytime you want. In the education realm, there are very closed lists of Isaacs, right, that share in the background. So if you really piss off one higher ed institution,
right? Be real careful treading in those close-knit communities. Okay.
So I'm gonna again pose a question to you. Let's say you have a problem you need to solve, you need a tool for it, your existing tech stack can't solve that, so you're on the market for something right now.
Okay.
How do you go about looking for something to solve that solution? One question, and we'll break it down. But the second question is, like, how do you prefer people who understand that you have that problem or assume you have a problem pitch to you or reach out to you or let you know what they have for you?
Okay. So usually for me, it's a little bit different, right? Because I'm the person in the middle. I'm the one that will be given these projects by cybersecurity teams to go and hunt down which vendor meets stuff. So a lot of times the first things that we do whenever we're given a project where there's going to be some sort of a software integration or a tool being used or amplified, one or the other, is we'll come up with the technical and functional requirements, right? That's going to be first before we even look at somebody. And then the internal team will end up inadvertently recommending a couple of tools that they've spoken to somebody at a conference about, right? They saw a demonstration at conference. It's never really, I had time last week to spend a whole hour sitting down with this sales professional on a demo because they offered me an Amazon card. No, absolutely not. It's usually somebody they met at conference. It's somebody that they talk to within their own professional circles that has mentioned this product or tool several times, using it, being great, or, you know, they used it to solve whatever XYZ problem and that kind of stuff. Or they may go to other professionals within their inner circle and ask them what kind of tools they're using, why they like them, and why, right? So they'll get some recommendations that way. So we take our technical requirements and our functional requirements, the recommendations from the client on which partner they want to look at to meet these technical and functional requirements. Then we pass, I mean, and that's where it starts, Dani, honestly, it's just like that. Now, how do you get to be one of those names that are recommended? Don't be the one that they say, absolutely not these people, though. And it will never, okay, I'm not gonna say it will never. That's way too like absolute. It will rarely be because something is wrong intrinsically with the product or the solution. 1,000% how you get on the block list of like, do not use these people, is crappy sales tactics or overly aggressive or they lied, right? That one's another one. Or they found the CISO's personal cell phone number and contacted them. Is also
anyone's personal cell phone. Can I tell you how insanely annoying it is that
That's
my
not
phone
okay.
rings? And
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
Same.
I think some people could really benefit from understanding and learning what social boundaries are and which ones should be assumed in what stage of a professional relationship. I still to this day, I have several very close professional friends' personal cell phone numbers. Do you know I still do not use them?
Mhm.
They've told me I can. And in an emergency or if something is really dire, I will like boop them. I'll be like, boop. But it's rare that I will use it. I will use one of our other communication platforms that we've chosen. Sometimes that's email, sometimes that's, you know, a different messaging app or whatever it is. But I will very rarely and will never ever call anybody or text them after 5 p.m. except for Chris Payne. I do that to Chris Payne because it's GurkCon and
I will text Rachel at any given time or hour.
he did this really horrible thing to me once, and I'll bet you he doesn't think I remember, but I definitely remember. Him and one of his other colleagues were being very polite and walking me back to my Airbnb after we had gone to dinner and discussed some things that we were going to do for the next morning's meeting, right? We were all of us were out of town, in town together to go to a meeting that was like at 7 a.m. or some ungodly time in the morning, the next morning. They walked me back to my Airbnb, and while one of them distracted me, Chris Payne ran into my Airbnb and turned the heat all the way to like 95 degrees. So that at about 2 a.m, I realized that I was not indeed having some like onset of premenopause. So I will 1,000% text Chris Payne past 5 o'clock. Does he answer? No.
You've
but
crossed the boundary. Yeah.
Well, that would work for me. It'd be like home. But anyhow, I like
so awful. He laughed so hard the next
I agree
day.
with Rick.
I like Mike Baker's comment in there of you contact your trusted advisor partner.
I was going to comment on that too. Yeah.
A lot of times, from a customer perspective, the very first thing you do is hit Google, right?
Mm.
What are things that are similar? You know, try to educate yourself a little bit, and then you go to somebody that you trust, and say, okay, what's out there, and please educate me on the differences, the pros, the cons, right? Because I need someone who is going to come give me a whole perspective of the field, right? Not just, if you just come at me with your one product, I know you represent that one product. You're not going to tell me the the good from the bad.
Compare,
You're not going to
contrast
tell
with the
me
others,
how
yeah.
it actually works.
Yeah. It takes a lot to get to that status, though.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes, it
And-
does. But it's so much more stronger
Yes.
than anything else that's going to come through.
100%.
And that's the people person, that's the caring part, that please educate the industry. That's what makes the folks like Rachel's company and others that actually show up at your door. You've got that
Wait, what?
that human
Sponsor
contact.
conventions? Yes.
Sponsor conventions and talks and people, and then your name gets out there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's
It's
pretty
face
much
to
the great
face.
way.
I hate to say that, but it's down to the point to where, you know, unless you can have that direct contact, you can't trust it. Everything else is noise.
Yeah.
To that point, Will, and it's really interesting because a lot of our interactions outside of the work world and inside, depending on if you are a hybrid or on-site or remote, is all online. So it's really interesting that when it comes to sales representatives and companies, we're like, no. But like interacting with general people, we're like, yeah, sure, this is fine. Let's play Jackbox on Thursday. Let's go. Like it becomes really easy. And that's almost kind of what I think we're all saying is that's the gap. You have to go from being this cold company persona to interacting on a human level in order to get us to pay some more attention and take you a little more seriously and less of a threat. Because again, a lot of these activities are following the same protocols as threat actors. And it's not on purpose. It's mostly because adversaries and threat actors saw that model working and were like, bet. And they just grew it. And so now you have to be like, okay, do we keep going this way where we know it's no longer trusted? Or do we find a new method? And
Trust.
from being a, what is the I guess the customer.
Yeah, you're the customer.
One way would be going to someone like Rachel. But also I think it also depends on the types of teams and if they know really what they need. Because I can say for a fact when I was looking for something at one of my jobs, I listed exactly everything we needed and went and looked for myself because I'm like, I don't want to talk to people.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then came up with a short list and then went to someone like Rachel who's like, here's our short list. Let's figure it out from here. And so sorry, Will. So it's building on it. But yeah, go on, Will.
Yeah.
So Dani, from your perspective in the world, how can you steer folks to build that trust? How can you steer the industry? Right? It sounds like that what needs to change is the industry. Am I off base on that?
People in the industry. I don't know if the industry as a whole will change, but specific
Old
people in the
mindsets,
industry.
maybe.
Well, we've just spent forever telling your side of the fence how to do it better.
Do your job better.
But I want to tell my side of the fence. You also have to set up realistic expectations. Dani, would that help?
Oh yeah, 100%. And realistic expectations with regards to the. I'll try to tread lightly here, with regards to how the practitioners and buyers behave and what they need versus what the VCs need. Just saying. With regards to building trust, it's interesting because I want to share another screen if I may.
Yeah, absolutely.
no,
Anytime
never.
you want to share a screen, just pull it up and then I'll hit the button.
By the way, if I say no, ignore me completely. I'm just being a butt. It's fine.
So this is how I explained to a bunch of B2B marketers yesterday on how to build trust. And it is mindset shift first. Like you need to be okay with changing your internal characteristics. You have to start with actually being genuinely curious, being empathetic, and being likable. And likability, by the way, Evan Franson told me about that. I was like, oh, you would think that would be kind of like, clear to people that you need to be likable, but many don't know that they need to be likable. Only then when you nurture those 3 characteristics, right? And skills, if you will, Then you can start actively listening. Then you can start understanding. Then you can start connecting, and then building and demonstrating value, and then keep that as a washing machine. Like let it continue, like fostering the inner shift and the outer shift, which is these three. And then in the middle, that the demonstrating value is the output of all of the inner and outer shift, if that makes sense. But the most important part, which a lot of people skip, is actually understanding if you're a fit right now or not, to be connected with that person. Like if you're not, just back off, right? If you are, but the people you're trying to connect with are not quite ready right now to deal with you or deal with your value creation, then be there, continue with this process. Or if they're not, back out, come back later when they're ready. So it's kind of a good framework, I think, that's worked for me at least.
Are they listening?
So you want to know how I approach this, Dani?
Yeah.
I am never not of value.
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds really like I'm amazing and you should like me because I said so. But that's not what I mean. I am never not of value, as in, what's great about my position is I don't have one thing. I don't have one thing that you could need, right? I have lots of things that you could possibly need. And I have so many things in my catalog of things that I am never going to come up to you and say, you need this one thing. Here it is. Take it. I'm never going to say that. I'm going to hang out and give you value, as in, do you need more friends that are in the same role as you? Just because you guys want to have some community around similar problems. Years ago, I used to do super secret sneaky squirrel CISO roundtables, and I put them together based on their industries and personalities. And you want to know what we would do in our super sneaky roundtables? Whatever they wanted to do. It was basically like therapy once a month for these CISOs to gather together. And it was like, I would talk to these folks one-on-one on a regular basis and realize that they had very similar, like personal interest stuff. Like they had the same taste in music or movies or memes or whatever it was. And I would put them together. I'm like, I think you guys would be fabulous friends. And guess what? You both happen to be in the same role.
Mm-hmm. Like, so there you go. You're empathetic. You were curious because you wanted to know also what was going on in their heads. You created value by setting up that platform for them, and you were actively listening. So like you did that in essence, which is awesome.
Why can't more salespeople do the same thing? Why can't they?
In the training.
Why can't they do that? Is it because it's actual, like it's harder than just going down a list?
Yes.
Because is that why? Is that why it is?
It's harder, and this is the challenge, is like, how do I tangibly show results from that to my CRO? I will get fired if I don't show them 100 calls, which is but the model is flawed.
Yeah. If you sit down once a month with 4 or 5 people that you've managed to connect together, and then you're going to provide them value by introducing them to each other, right? Because not everybody can afford to go to conference.
It doesn't. Right? Isn't that like 5? It doesn't fit the waterfall metrics model. The conversion rate. It can, but again, the model is broken and flawed in very many.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, as a salesperson, if I am wanting to provide this just to provide some kind of value while I wait for them to need anything, whatever it is, just so I'm available when they need something other than what it is that I'm providing, right? I'm going to chum that up as I made 5 calls in 1 hour because I had 5 people on that round table.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And I actually connected and spoke to those people, not just left a voicemail.
Yes.
Follow up in 4 days.
Dani, when you're giving this message to folks, 1, are they listening? And 2, I think you have a huge thing there. How about changing the metrics?
I'm not the only one trying to, but
yeah, that's the industry thing. That's where we go back to.
It's like a lot of people are saying this, but again, the problem with the 5 calls in the roundtable, which my business model is based off of that. You want to get on a monthly AMA with a security buyer. That to me is a meeting. because I've gotten in a room with a security buyer who maybe doesn't have an intent now to buy, but maybe later. And because I'm leaning in with questions, they might remember me. The problem with that, and when I sat at the table with CEOs and founders of security startups, it's like, okay, show me how to make this more predictable. Like, I don't fucking know how to make this more predictable. Like, I don't know when they're going to buy, but I know that they like me, and I know that they like our approach, and I know that by association, I'm part of the brand. So when they're ready, they will come to me. Like 1% of the industry is ready to buy.
That's where I say the customers or the opportunity people, the customer, the end user folks need to be clear about expectations, right?
Yes.
And I've some of my favorite people to check on a routine basis that have never bought anything from me are the ones that are like, we don't have budget, we don't have a need right now. We don't, if I have something, I'll come to you, but I'm so sorry. And they're expecting me to forget that they exist after that.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell them at the
Like
end of
a
that,
year,
well, I think you're cool. And I'm not lying. Like, if I don't think you're cool, you never get this statement from me. But I'm like, I think you're cool. In the meantime, is it cool if I have a question about something or want your opinion on something, if maybe I reach out and message you, and it's not going to be like an opinion, like, what do you think of this product? No, it's going to be like, hey, my intern needs some advice on this, and I have no experience in this particular subject, right? It'll be stuff like that. It's not going to be, what's your opinion on XYZ and your XDR, and do you need a new one? Like, no, I'm not that. But
so that predictability, I think causes a problem. I think it's important to understand where you can be and to be able to forecast. Super important, because you want to hit goals and you want to figure things out and repeat things, successful things. But when startups are leaning on that so heavily, right, without understanding really what's going on behind the scenes on a human level, it's like, it makes it so hard for the sales and marketing professionals who are revenue driven to come back to the table and say, well, look, this is not working. This is how it really is. Because at the top, those founders and CEOs are pressured by those VCs to provide them with those forecasts, so that at the end of the day, do we know when we can exit, or how much we're going to be making, and what is our ROI with regards to our investment in you, right? And so
well, it depends. I think one thing they could really benefit from too is taking a look at how easy it is to integrate whatever it is that they're selling into where they're trying to go, right? Okay, so let's say it's like, for example, endpoint, right? If you're endpoint detection and response or protect EDR, right? You're not going to be a quick sell. You're not. You're just not. And the biggest reason is, from my personal experience, this may not be across the board, so anybody else, feel free to chime in. But to rip and replace an EDR is so much. So
it's painful.
Much. It is. Especially considering that there's, like, we were just talking about how most people don't even have good visibility of how far their network goes. Like, they don't even know.
Oh, absolutely not. No, people don't. And then you get into cases where some people are like, this EDR doesn't do what we want. Let's get this other one. But let's not replace the first one. Let's just add it and ignore the fact that they fight.
Yeah. And then that's bad. That's so bad. So, like, they have to have quite a few things lined up before they can consider something that big. Now, security awareness training, if they don't already have something in place, that's going to be easier. That's easier. That doesn't take that takes the setup part, but it's not a rip and replace situation, because normally if they don't have a security awareness program already, it's pretty easy to just start one up. Really, it's internal advocacy, and you have to have somebody really on the inside that convinces everybody else that this is a good idea.
We should have an entire episode on that, because I will argue with you on that point.
Oh, great.
Invite me to that. Invite me. I want to be a fly on the wall.
Next episode with Dani, let's focus on just that one specific episode.
What, security awareness training?
Yeah.
That it's not hard to rip and replace?
As someone who had to run it, absolutely.
No. I'm not talking about from the customer end. I'm talking about, like, or from the admin side of it. I'm talking about functional technical requirement only.
Yeah, but plugging and playing that on paper, I will agree. But as someone who's gone through the process.
Oh, wait, you're talking about so I said rip and replace, but I meant EDR. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I don't mean rip and replace on security awareness training. I mean, there's nothing in place.
I know. I know. Forget the EDR. I'm talking security awareness training.
Okay.
Getting that started ground up is not that simple. And I will do a whole.
It's not that simple, but I have found that it's easier for the buy-in because the people that see the difference are all over the place. It's not EDR. It's not something that
100% compared to an EDR, I can see it being considered more simple.
Yeah.
But if we want to do the two perspectives of selling it and getting it like that setup part to the customer part and actually getting it functional, that is.
Yeah, you need a whole team.
Big conversation.
Whatever your internal learning management system is, you got to have the people that admin that thing. They got to be 100% on board.
Oh, you have such high hopes. I love it so much.
Okay, folks, we're down to nits now.
Oh, sorry.
Let's come back to the broader topic.
My bad. Thanks, Will. Dani, I'm so sorry.
Well, she did say rabbit holes, so we went down one.
And I said next episode, to be fair. I said next episode.
I'm sorry.
But Rachel and I will just fight. It's fine.
So let me go back. Let me get us back on track here. Hey, Dani. I think they need to understand what they're asking their customer to do for partnership. Does that make sense? I think they need to understand from their customer's perspective, and then build metrics. Because if what you're asking to do, and you need to talk to the community about it, you need to walk up to like an architecture and engineering team and be like, how long does it take to implement this?
Yes.
In your size network?
Yes.
How long? Go talk to project managers. Go make friends with those people. They can tell you. A good PMP working for a cybersecurity team will give you timelines. And it will have a little bit of padding in it too.
Okay. I want to, this is great because one of the, actually Ryan told me this almost 2 years ago. By the way, Ryan, you told me that I could sell you anything. I will be contacting you after the show.
I've been waiting for the callback the entire time.
But Ryan told me, like, there are so many different people in the organization. You have to understand what they're doing, right? And tailor that message to them. I actually want to ask all of you, why do you think vendors go straight for the CISO?
In the cybersecurity world, I think it's Brian's buying anything you tell him to. He just said it in the chat.
Okay. I'll contact him.
I think it's because I don't know if this is the case anymore, but historically I found that CISOs are not necessarily as ingrained into the technical space. And so all the fun buzzwords and stuff, I think work a little bit better with them than it does with the people in the technical space where they can push back on that. I find that a lot when people start talking about machine learning to me in a vendor call. And I'm like, okay, what's your methodology? What are you doing? How are you checking for blah, blah, blah? And they're like, I think the target works a little bit better for the script, so to say.
Look, everybody says budget. They're in control of budget. Okay, let's be clear. They're not in control of budget.
Yes.
They are managing budget, either themselves directly or they have somebody that's like their right-hand person that is managing budget. They don't control budget. They manage budget. And when I say they don't control it, I mean like they have to ask somebody else for money. That means you're not controlling your money.
Yeah.
That means that 100%. Person over there is controlling your money. You manage it once they give it to you.
The other item is that they have override capability. And they also have the ability to say, hey, I heard about this. Could you guys look into this? And many times just coming from the CISO, depending upon the leadership of the CISO, right? If you have a good CISO, it's team, you tell me. If it's some other CISOs, it's I will tell you. That's a
It
that's
is.
a
It's
quick fail.
they're captain their own ship in their own ways.
Yeah.
I've
Well-
met both or all of them.
So Dani, what's your answer to that question?
Well, one is it's easy to search for Chief Information Security Officer on LinkedIn. Two, people don't understand who does what within the security organization structure, and how their tool, like who are their actual end users, and who are the decision makers, and who are the ones that can influence purchase, and who are the ones that hold the purse strings, which in many cases is not the CISO, it's the CFO. You have to convince them. And so as a marketing or sales practitioner, you need to understand how to persuade the CFO too, with regards to business outcomes in security, they don't teach people that in vendors.
Don't reach out to the CFO though instead of the
Correct.
CISO.
Correct. Build the case. Build the case. Don't use them as a stepping stone, but build the case. Understand how to build a case and enable the CISO to go convince the CFO how to make the decision for the purchasing decision for the tool.
We're over time. Who needed to drop? I knew Levy did.
I'm good to go whenever. By the way,
I always say let's keep talking forever, but I think we need just a part 2 episode. Personally,
I think so too. We're gonna do part 2, but yeah, if you needed to go, you can go ahead and go. Thank you, Meg. Meg reminded me that Meg also has to go.
Yeah,
let Dani finish thought. Right?
Yeah.
Sorry, my thought. I lost the train of thought, but but I did have something important to say.
CFO. We were talking about don't go to the CFO. Help them build the case.
Rachel was about to jump in because she was very on edge,
and it was really good too. Oh no, we might have.
We were
building
a case for the CISO to go to the CFO. We were helping them build the case.
Yeah,
we didn't want them to go directly to the CFO, but understand that that's the person they have to convince to buy this thing. Does that help you get back on track?
No, but that's okay.
I agree with Richard's comment. Like it is, and Dani, what you're saying, it's the business case, which does to some other comments we have over on LinkedIn is bottom up. Like you gotta prove to the people who actually deal with this, which is where I was kind of trying to get to. The people who are working with the tool need to know how it works, and that's going to help them. Otherwise, you're just throwing something at them that they might not even ever touch again, and because it's just not useful.
I'm gonna have to send Dani extra swag to make up for.
How dare you do that?
No, that's okay. I really I'm very passionate about this topic. It'll come back naturally. It'll come back after
like 2 hours
sign off, and it's literally at the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember because I had something to say. But yes, whole of business approach. Ryan and I had a lot of sessions on that. Understanding the business, understanding technically how it works with the particular segments within the organization, and it's unfortunate that there's no foundational training on the vendor side for that. Like maybe we do that. Maybe we do that. I don't know. There are more projects because we don't have enough time in the day. But
build a time machine first and then do everything.
Yeah, seriously.
I think they could benefit from some training courses. I'm just saying.
I agree.
Yeah. And it's not like if practitioners need the training, the vendors need the training. Like if I'm a newbie coming in from a different vertical into security, we need the training. And it's not enough to go through the know before stuff. We need deeper training. Ryan told me also, and Ryan's on fire today, but Ryan told me why don't, a differentiator for marketing and sales teams go get your Sec Plus certificate. Like go do the training. That's
the newbies.
Yeah, that's
the newbie cert.
Yeah.
Oh wait, there's a free one. I was looking at it.
Well, Google has a free one.
Forever. We're going to be here forever.
Google
has a free one,
which we love.
All right.
What else?
They're kicking me out. All right.
I'm kicking Rachel out because Rachel also said she had to do something.
Okay, let's go to final statements.
Yeah, and you can always post it and link it to the video later.
Statements. Be friends with Dani. Go be friends with Dani, it's a good idea. It'll help. And then maybe you'll even, it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on either, because if you're a customer, you could really help Dani understand why you're so annoyed that people spam your inbox.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll stop. Maybe we'll change the world. Who knows?
Among other
Maybe
things.
tomorrow it'll be magical. And suddenly you'll all have, impactful outreach instead of a bunch of crap that just clogs up your inbox. And now you got to add them to the block list.
Yeah.
And if you're a vendor, go be friends with Dani, because she's going to teach you how to be friends with other people in the right way and still hit your metrics.
And I'm kind of likable also, if you just want to be friends.
All the time.
I think so.
You're kind of likable. You're like the most intrinsically likable person ever. Like, wow, could you? If you don't like Dani, there's something wrong with you, not Dani.
Hey,
okay?
Well,
I do want to say, if anybody wants to come on Audience First podcast, if you're a practitioner and you just want to vent, hey, talk to me.
I would love to do
I'll
that. Can I
show up
do
to
that?
anything.
Yes.
I will also have a hat unless you tell me otherwise. So I'm just warning you now.
Awesome.
I'm not currently a practitioner. I'm more of a support role for practitioner.
Love it.
But working as a director of operations and strategy for a very large gaming company, I have lots of ranty things. I have and good things too. I have good marks for a lot of the vendor partners that I was partnered with and in discussions with on a regular basis. So just saying,
we're gonna do it. I'm gonna hit you up, Rachel. We'll do it.
Yes.
That'd be cool.
Big fan.
And Dani, I want to thank you so much for trying to make a dent in the industry, right? And it's so much needed. These elements that need to change and helping to change perspectives
Definitely
of the industry is so much needed. And that's really what you're doing on your podcasts, right? Is trying to help change the perspective of the industry as a whole. And it's always awesome and refreshing. The cool thing about what Rachel brings on with guests in here is that you have people that are looking at the whole big picture and saying, why can't we change it? And that's what you're working on. So thank you so very much for that from a customer point of view.
I appreciate the feedback. It means a lot, because sometimes, I sit here in my little cave trying to get out of it and don't know if I'm making a dent. I know it's going to take a long time, because it's not black and white. There's a lot of gray matter here, and it's a long play, right? So I appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
Dani, how can they? So you partner with companies and you said startups predominantly, but do you partner with some already up and runners just to improve their marketing and sales approaches?
Yeah. I mean, we've, been talking at Checkpoint. They're kind of big. And they need a lot. They needed some help. They needed to get connection with professionals, and some of the larger companies who are, I'm not saying Checkpoint is like this, but a lot of the scale ups, if you will, or the public companies are stuck in this corporate approach when they need to kind of come back down to earth and humanize who they are. And I think based off of what I've been seeing at Checkpoint this past month, I was able to hang out with some of them. I think they're doing a good job. Correct me if I'm wrong. Any customers there, I think they're doing a good job from what I'm seeing from the outside in. We work with companies of all sizes, but predominantly some of the earlier stage companies, Series A, Series B, who want to reach, IPO or and go public, but they need to do things a little bit differently and slow down, understand their environment, understand the people. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just like, yeah.
Love backstage. I'm with the audience. I think we need a part 2. I think this was a good chat. I think that it's a fun conversation that I've had with other people, like one-on-one, like when we're dealing with vendors and talking with vendors. I'm like, why does this end up the way it is? And I think there also needs to be at some point a conversation, internal training, probably via each organization, for the customers on how to interact with vendors at the same rate, because I think people get so frustrated that just it's immediate now. And it has to go both ways. Everybody needs to learn how to talk to each other.
Oh, look, Dani, I'm gonna give you well, and our audience too. Oh, it's a big link though. Oh, gross.
Is it ugly? Why are you giving people ugly links?
So it's a certificate from ISC squared, to your point about or Will's point. Who made the point about the customers being certified, but the salespeople need to be certified? Who made that point? It was Dani. Right. Yeah. Okay. So one that you can recommend that's free is available from ISC squared, and it's just cybersecurity certificate. It's like entry level. It's free. It's free. Go do it. Go take the training. The training is also free. Go look up iscsquared.org. So it would be ISC, the number 2.org, right? And look up certified and cybersecurity courses and exams.
Yeah, but this is IT. Do you get a t-shirt?
That's a free option.
No, Will's so right. Like every certification I've done has come with something. You gotta do something.
But then there's also fun things that are more gamified that are already available, like Hack the Box.
Do it.
Yeah.
Hack the Box is fun. Go do that.
Do the fun stuff.
I didn't go very high in it because I just don't have the time. But I went and tried it out. Like I saw everybody else. Like I'm the top 1% on Hack the Box. And then whenever I started opening up Hack the Box and was like playing with it and everything and got through all of the stuff that until you can get to the paid stuff, I was like, do you know how many entry level people would benefit just from the free end of Hack the Box?
Students love it.
Honestly. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Meg. Meg is awesome. Look, there's the link. Boop. Over there. But yeah, it's fun. That's a gamified version. And if you want a certification to show that you did something instead of trying to screenshot your Hack the Box profile, go do the ISC squared certification right there. I'll do it with you. We'll do it together. I don't have this one. I want to do it. Meg's going to do it.
I'm going to do it.
Anyhow, we've got to wrap up.
Yeah, we got to wrap up. So sorry. Okay, we're going to do a part 2 that probably we are... I have been on fire lately, you guys. We are booked up until June. So
I won't be here next week. So whoever that is, sorry, no hat for you.
Yeah, that's bad. Okay, look, I was going to be out of office next Friday because my kids are home. But then I met Aisha.
Yeah, which I'm upset that that's the one I'm missing because that's who I'm talking to now.
So Aisha is doing a virtual event that started here in Louisiana. I am so proud. Like, you have no idea. I'm like, oh my gosh, Louisiana stuff? Yes! But it's available to everybody. And it's called the Bayou Hackathon. And if you look at my post from yesterday, was that yesterday's post?
Yeah,
I talked to Aisha yesterday. And I was like, look, I don't do this very often, but I'm going to take down my request off for next Friday. And we're going to talk about your event coming up because literally we didn't have room anywhere else. I have everybody else booked up except for the day off that I claim. I'm coming in on my day off. That's how important Aisha and her messages. I would have done that for Dani too, because Dani's doing incredible things. Just saying.
Thank you.
But we had booked in advance. So Dani, June, we're going to do part 2.
Awesome. I'm ready.
Available in June.
Yes.
Sorry,
Thank you so
It
much.
depends on the week for me for June. So
okay,
chat with me.
That's fair. And thank you as always to our amazing audience and viewers. You guys are the best. You're the whole reason.
Absolutely.
You are the wind beneath my wings. You're the reason why this is therapy. I love you so much. And Dani, thank you for coming.
Thank
You
you.
got to stay on for a few minutes after, so
Got it.
I can totally get your home
Super
address
secret
for
things.
non-nefarious reasons.
We promise.
It'll be
Social
great.
engineering.
Will there be a glitter bomb?
My
So-
child would love that. My wife?
Right, I don't wanna
If Dani doesn't make it to the next episode, we know why.
because Rachel sent a glitter bomb. It's gonna be great. Okay. And thanks, Levy, and thanks, Will. Give everybody at Pima a hug for us and kisses. And Levy, don't do anything too terribly dangerous today.
Aww.
And Meg, thank you as always for being in the background. We love you guys. We will see you next week, and you'll get to meet my friend Aisha who is putting together a great event called the Bayou Hackathon. Come learn
Yeah.
more. Follow the where's my other QR code? Follow that one. Follow the Secure Nation QR code. That one will take you to the Secure Nation LinkedIn page. Or you can also find us at the Human API on YouTube. That's a good place also to like subscribe so you know when things are happening and when we're doing future shows. We love you guys. Have a happy and safe weekend. I know it's a holiday weekend for some folks, so enjoy. I'm going to the beach.
Oh, look at you. Fancy. Bye, everybody. See you personally in 2 weeks.